So I just want to tell you, the only thing that you could do is just to do what you can possibly do. Know that sounds a little silly and bizarro to say that, but I'm just thinking about doing this whole reciprocity project and how it kind of all started. In that, this was a sharing economy editing platform was what I was trying to build. And I realized when I first started out that it was really impossible to build a team of, people that, salespeople and sort of software people and stuff like that in the place that I was at, or in the town that I live, the city that I live. And as well as I also realized that it was just going to be me that was going to sort of push this thing forward. Because, people don't want to volunteer their time on things because they just don't, right? We're all kind of a little bit self-interested, we're a lot of it self-interested because we only have a certain amount of resources to do things in this world. So people are not going to focus on other things unless there's a reason for it. I mean, there's a reason why people like to watch football games and sports things and stuff like that on the weekend, when my interest is doing this. I'm really weird to do these things. And so when I built this thing, the funny thing is I built it and I could only afford so much, right? It's all 100% owned by me and my family, because actually at my university it sort of fell through in terms of what it actually looks like of creating technology transfer. So I was having to do this on my own. And because I think that this is really important. By the way, the reason is that the software is really hard to patent. And so they didn't really want anything to do with it. And so I had to figure out how to do this on my own. So I got contract developers that I know that maybe that wasn't the best, and they weren't, American contract developers and all those kind of things. But, they did a good enough job, just like me. They did a good enough job. And then that fell through, so then I had to find different contract developers. And I know that maybe they're not the top, they're not at Silicon Valley. They're actually in India, and they're amazing people. And they do what they can do, right? Just like me, just doing what you can do with what you actually have. And then I realized after I put this thing out that nobody paid attention to it. It wasn't on the internet. It was on the internet, but the internet does not work like the way you think it works. It doesn't work when you put something out that everybody is going to come to it instantaneously. That's really not how it works. You actually have to figure out a way to grow an audience and get people to get attracted to the thing that you're doing. So I started doing these YouTube videos and blog posts and hired a few people, some amazing people to do writing blog posts, and I've gone through, several folks. And what I'm getting at is nothing on this, and I could see all of the sort of weaknesses and problems, and nothing is quite perfect, and nothing is ever going to come together like you think it's going to come together. So if you're, I know a lot of academics watch this because there's videos that I figured out that sort of resonated with people because I'm an academic, I'm a researcher, and I found out that if you're doing this, and if you're doing sort of the research game, you do what you can do. And when you finish it, that paper that you're writing, you're going to not be 100% proud of it. You think it's good, but you're not 100% proud of it. It's the same thing with building this whole platform. I know that there's a lot of things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I could fix this. I wish I could do this. I wish I could make it more user-friendly. But you do what you can do. And, the outside world that doesn't really understand this and hasn't done anything that you're doing with what you actually have, they're never going to see it, and they're never going to understand it, and they're going to look down on you. But you just do what you can possibly do with what you actually have. There's actually in entrepreneurship, there's a term for this. It's called bricolage. And it's just making do with what you have. And you just keep cobbling it together. There's no way in my there was no way I would ever have done, a YouTube show and became a social influencer, quote unquote social influencer, whatever those things are, if I didn't realize, oh my gosh, this is going to be a complete waste of my money and my time if I didn't start working on trying to build a community where people sort of saw what I was trying to do and got it. You just have to do with what you can do, and it looks ridiculous and you feel like when you're doing it, it's really small and really, tiny, and you're really afraid. I'm super afraid to do this kind of stuff, and I'm walking around my neighborhood. If neighbors came out and saw me, I'd be all embarrassed and all of that kind of stuff. But you do what you could do, right? There's no magic to any of this stuff. You just have what you have at your fingertips. I cannot spend hundreds of thousands of dollars instantly to build this amazing app with Silicon Valley developers, people from Boston. I don't have the money available to spend $50,000, $100,000, $250,000 to do marketing using, all of these sort of marketing things that they're trying to sell you to do, like Google AdWords and all those kind of things. And I don't have a full-time person to do these things. I'm only doing it on my spare time. And yet this is what you can possibly do. And so don't ever knock yourself or feel insecure for doing what you could do. You just do it, right? You ignore all of that stuff. It's real. You feel it. You feel you absolutely feel like you're nitty gritty or rinky dinky, right? Everything feels very rinky dinky with this, right? Like, look at this. This is my amazing microphone. And the whole thing feels really rinky dinky, and it feels like I'm not doing what I should be doing, and it's unprofessional. That was the comments that I got early on. It's like, oh, that's unprofessional. That's somebody being afraid of the fact that they're never going to do it. They're never going to stand up in front and do something, make it a complete ass of themselves. But you do it anyways, right? Everything in this world starts out unprofessional, but what do? You gotta put it together. Maybe one day I'll have a television crew following me and all just a bunch of goofiness. But you do what you could do, right? And that's the only thing you can do, and you have to ignore all of the things that are going on around you and the embarrassments that you might feel and all those kind of things, and you just do it. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to get done. And I truly believe that. There's nothing been in my life that, there's nothing been in this world that I've been able to do unless I started small and unless it looked ugly and I wasn't, 100% sure with what I was doing. Everything starts that way. So if I can encourage you to just take steps forward today without being, just take a step forward and know that what you're doing is rinky-dinky, but who cares? You do what you can do.